The Dallas Cowboys were searching for a quarterback to lead their franchise back to relevance, and in 2003, he threw for 3,302 yards and 17 touchdowns, while leading the team to a 10-6 record and their first playoff appearance since 1999. This is the same guy who was a second-round draft pick out of Georgia, had a 23-8 record in college, and was supposed to be the franchise quarterback who would finally replace Troy Aikman, the same dual-threat playmaker who beat out veteran Chad Hutchinson for the starting job and had Cowboys fans believing they'd found their next star. Then, just months after leading Dallas to the playoffs, Quincy Carter was suddenly released by the Cowboys in August 2004 after failing a drug test and becoming one of the biggest what-if stories in franchise history. What the hell happened to Quincy Carter? Before we continue, if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe to the channel. Now let's dive in. Let's rewind to where this all started. Decatur, Georgia. Carter wasn't supposed to be a Cowboys quarterback initially. He was a multi-sport athlete who was as talented on the baseball diamond as he was on the football field. At Southwest DeKalb High School, Carter was a star quarterback who could make every throw and had the mobility to extend plays with his legs. But here's where Carter's story gets interesting. He was also a legitimate baseball prospect, good enough that the Chicago Cubs drafted him in the second round of the 1996 MLB draft straight out of high school. Carter spent 3 years in the Cubs minor league system, playing as an outfielder and showing enough potential to make baseball a viable career option. The decision to leave baseball and pursue football at the University of Georgia changed everything. From 1998 to 2000, Carter became one of the most successful quarterbacks in Georgia history. 23 wins and 8 losses as a starter, 6,447 passing yards, and 35 touchdowns. His completion percentage of 56.6% was solid for that era, and his dual threat ability made him a nightmare for SEC defenses. The 1999 season was far from Carter's masterpiece statistically. Georgia finished 8-4 and earned a bowl victory. Carter threw for 2,713 yards and 17 touchdowns. He added modest rushing production with 255 yards and 5 scores, showcasing his dual threat ability. As the 2001 NFL draft approached, Carter was projected as a mid-round pick, praised for his arm strength and mobility, but questioned for accuracy and decision-making. The Dallas Cowboys, searching for Troy Aikman's successor, used the 53rd overall pick in the second round to select Carter, betting on his potential to lead the franchise forward. This selection was criticized by the media as a reach, and it was later reported that owner-general manager Jerry Jones influenced the organization into making it. What happened next was the beginning of one of the most promising and ultimately tragic quarterback stories in Cowboys history. Carter's rookie season in 2001 was about learning and adjusting. Although he was expected to spend time learning the game behind starter Tony Banks, after having a notable preseason, he was named the team's new starting quarterback midway through training camp. He appeared in 8 games, starting most of them, and threw for 1,072 yards and 5 touchdowns, adding 150 rushing yards and 1 score. His final quarterback rating for the season of 63.0 was better than fellow rookie quarterbacks Michael Vick, who posted 62.7, and Chris Winkie, who finished with 62.0, both of whom also started games. The numbers weren't spectacular, but they showed flashes of the dual threat ability that had made him successful in college. The highlight of his rookie season was a 27-21 win against the San Francisco 49ers. Carter showed promise with 241 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, becoming just the second Cowboys rookie to win NFC Offensive Player of the Week honors. The 2002 season brought more opportunities but mixed results. The Cowboys signed another young quarterback and former baseball player, Chad Hutchinson, to compete with Carter. The quarterback battle was featured prominently on HBO's Hard Knocks in the 2002 edition, giving fans an inside look at Carter's preparation and personality. In 7 starts, Carter posted a 3-4 record, passing for 1,465 yards and 7 touchdowns, while adding 27 carries for 91 yards on the ground. He threw for at least 200 yards in 6 consecutive games, the longest stretch by a Cowboys quarterback since Troy Aikman accomplished the same feat in 1993. Carter also completed more than 20 passes in 3 straight games, a mark unmatched since Aikman's 5-game streak in 1996. His momentum stalled after a 9-6 loss in the 7th game against the Arizona Cardinals, during which he engaged in a heated sideline argument with Jerry Jones. Following that, Carter lost the starting job, and Chad Hutchinson took over for the rest of the season. But it was the 2003 season that would define Carter's legacy and show both his potential and the demons that would ultimately destroy his career. The 2003 season began with uncertainty. The Cowboys had hired Bill Parcells as head coach and stated all positions were open to competition, including the quarterback position. The veteran coach emphasized an equitable chance for both Carter and Hutchinson, noting that the decision for the starting quarterback role would be based on performance during camp. Carter won the job and proceeded to have the best season of his career. He threw for 3,302 yards and 17 touchdowns while leading the Cowboys to a 10-6 record. More importantly, he guided Dallas to its first playoff appearance since 1999, ending a 4-year drought that had frustrated Cowboys fans. The highlight of his season came in a 24-20 victory against the eventual NFC champion Carolina Panthers. In that game, Carter set a career high with 29 completions on 43 attempts, throwing for 254 yards and 2 touchdowns. The game-winning score was a dramatic last-minute strike to wide receiver Antonio Bryant on 4th and 14. The win secured Dallas its first non-losing season since 1999. The playoff game against Carolina was a disappointment, a 29-10 loss where Carter completed 21 of 36 passes for 154 yards and 1 interception. But the season had been a success, and Carter seemed poised to take the next step in his development. Then came August 4th, 2004, and everything changed. The Cowboys suddenly released Carter, shocking the football world and ending his NFL career in an instant. The official reason was a failed drug test, though the specific details were never fully disclosed. Carter was just 26 years old, coming off his best season, and seemingly positioned to be the Cowboys' franchise quarterback for years to come. The fall was swift and brutal. Carter signed with the New York Jets later in 2004, but saw limited action, throwing for 498 yards and 3 touchdowns. His NFL career was effectively over, ending with 6,337 passing yards and 32 touchdowns in just 4 seasons. So what the hell happened to Quincy Carter? The story is more complex and tragic than most people realize. The drug test failure that ended Carter's Cowboys career was reportedly related to marijuana use, though Carter has been open about struggling with various substances throughout his career. In later interviews, he admitted to using drugs as a way to cope with the pressure and expectations of being an NFL quarterback. But the substance abuse issues were just the surface of deeper problems that had been building throughout Carter's career. The pressure of being a high-profile quarterback in Dallas, combined with personal struggles and the intense scrutiny that comes with the position, created a perfect storm that ultimately destroyed his potential. Carter's story is also one of missed opportunities and bad timing. He played for the Cowboys during a transitional period when the franchise was trying to rebuild after the end of the Troy Aikman era. The supporting cast was inconsistent, the coaching was in flux, and the expectations were enormous. The 2003 season showed what Carter could accomplish when everything came together. His leadership, mobility, and arm strength were on full display as he guided the Cowboys to their first playoff appearance in 4 years. But the success also brought increased pressure and scrutiny that Carter wasn't equipped to handle. The numbers from Carter's brief NFL career tell the story of unrealized potential. 6,337 passing yards and 32 touchdowns in 4 seasons aren't spectacular, but they represent solid production from a young quarterback who was still developing. His completion percentage of 56.5% was respectable for his era, and his mobility added a dimension that few quarterbacks possessed. But the advanced metrics available today paint a more concerning picture. Carter's interception rate was high, his decision-making was inconsistent, and his performance under pressure was below average. These were correctable issues for a young quarterback, but they required time, coaching, and stability that Carter never received. The supporting cast argument is relevant to Carter's story. He played behind inconsistent offensive lines, with receivers who weren't elite, and in an offensive system that was constantly changing. The Cowboys were rebuilding during his tenure, and Carter was asked to be the franchise savior before he was ready for that responsibility. The coaching situation was particularly challenging. Carter played for 2 different head coaches in 3 seasons with the Cowboys, Dave Campo and Bill Parcells. The constant changes in system and philosophy made it difficult for Carter to develop consistency and confidence. But we can't ignore Carter's personal responsibility in his downfall. The drug use, the failed tests, and the inability to handle the pressure of being an NFL quarterback were ultimately his choices. Great players find ways to overcome adversity and external challenges, and Carter wasn't able to do that. The what-if scenarios surrounding Carter's career are fascinating and tragic. What if he had stayed clean and focused? What if he had played for a more stable organization? What if he had received better coaching and support during his development? These questions will never be answered, but they highlight the thin line between success and failure in professional sports. The comparison to other quarterbacks from his era is instructive. Carter was drafted in the same general time frame as players like Drew Brees and Michael Vick. While those players went on to have successful careers, Carter's was derailed by personal issues and poor decision-making. The college success makes Carter's NFL failure even more tragic. His 23-8 record at Georgia showed he could win at the highest level of college football. His dual-threat ability and leadership were evident throughout his college career. The talent was clearly there. It was the personal demons that prevented him from reaching his potential. The aftermath of Carter's NFL career has been a story of redemption and struggle. He played in various arena leagues and semi-professional leagues, trying to recapture the magic that had made him successful. He's been open about his struggles with addiction and has worked to help other young athletes avoid the mistakes he made. Carter's story serves as a cautionary tale about the pressures and temptations that face young athletes. The combination of money, fame, and pressure can be overwhelming, especially for players who aren't prepared for the mental and emotional challenges of professional sports. The impact on the Cowboys franchise was significant too. Carter's failure set back the team's quarterback development and forced them to continue searching for a franchise quarterback. The instability at the position contributed to years of mediocrity that the Cowboys are still trying to overcome. Looking back at Carter's brief NFL career, it's clear that he had the physical tools to be successful. His arm strength was adequate, his mobility was excellent, and his leadership qualities were evident. But the mental and emotional aspects of the position proved to be his downfall. The 2003 season remains the high point of Carter's career and a glimpse of what could have been. Leading the Cowboys to the playoffs showed he could perform at the highest level when focused and healthy. But it also represented the peak of his potential, as personal issues prevented him from building on that success. The drug test failure that ended his Cowboys career was the culmination of problems that had been building throughout his time in Dallas. The pressure, the expectations, and the personal struggles created a situation where Carter turned to substances as a coping mechanism, ultimately destroying his career. In the end, Quincy Carter's story is one of wasted potential and personal tragedy. He had the talent to be a successful NFL quarterback, but the demons that plagued him off the field prevented him from reaching his potential. His career serves as a reminder that talent alone isn't enough. Mental toughness, personal discipline, and the ability to handle pressure are just as important. The Cowboys moved on from Carter and eventually found success with other quarterbacks. But his story remains a cautionary tale about the fragility of professional sports careers. One failed drug test, one poor decision, one moment of weakness can end everything that an athlete has worked for their entire life. Carter's legacy is complicated. A talented quarterback who showed flashes of brilliance but couldn't overcome his personal demons. His story is both tragic and instructive, showing the importance of mental health, personal responsibility, and the support systems that young athletes need to succeed. What do you think? Could Quincy Carter have been a successful NFL quarterback with better support and personal choices? Was his downfall inevitable, or could it have been prevented? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.